Good evening, scholars, families, teachers, staff, and the Youngstown community. My name is Juanita Walker, and I am the current president of the Youngstown Board of Education. On behalf of the Board of Education, we welcome you to the State of the School Address. As board members, we are proud to serve the scholars of Youngstown City Schools. A part of that responsibility is to ensure the transparency and to listen to the voices of our constituents and address those concerns and suggestions in a timely manner. We remind our guests that board meetings are open to the public and held on the second and fourth Tuesdays of each month at 5 p.m. in the second floor conference room of the Youngstown Brand Early College High School. We encourage you to please attend and learn more about the decisions, discussions, and presentations pertaining to the district that influence our school and communities. Tonight, we will hear from our superintendent, Mr. Batchelor. He will highlight celebrations, fiscal responsibility, and the future of Youngstown City School District. It has been an honor and a privilege to work alongside Mr. Batchelor, for whom a motion was approved at the recent board meeting to continue his contract with the district for an additional 5 years. And we are so glad that he accepted that. Under his leadership, since he was appointed in August of 2023, Mr. Batchelor has led efforts to improve the state report card and the rating by additional half of a star this school year, were improved math scores and stronger career readiness outcomes at Cheney and East High Schools, aided in this growth as well. Additionally, there has been a 38% reduction in teacher departures with growing workforce stability. Mr. Batchelor has also expanded district communications, which has been tremendous and great all around, by working with the Choffin Career and Technical Center to produce the Belly Left Leadership Podcast, where he has welcomed guests across the district and community to discuss the vital work they do on our scholars and community's behalf. Mr. Batchelor is originally from the South Side and is a proud father, husband, and educator, serving as a teacher and administrator throughout his career. He has earned a Bachelor's of Arts in Social Science from John Carroll University and received his Master's of Arts in Educational Administration from the Youngstown State University. Please join me in welcoming Superintendent Jeremy Batchelor.
Thank you, Ms. Walker. Thank you, Ms. Walker. And to the Youngstown community, thank you for being here. We welcome you, as Ms. Walker stated. And before I would move forward, I would be remiss if I did not recognize the rest of your colleagues here that are here in attendance tonight. So I want to recognize the Board of Education, starting with Ms. Tina Subekovic, Ms. Tiffany Patterson. Ms. Rebecca is our vice president right now. And then you met Ms. Juanita Walker, who is the president. Carrie Watson, board member. And then Joe Moranto, board member. Ms. Kimball snuck in on me, I apologize. Ms. Kimball over there, Ms. Brenda Kimball. My chief of staff always keeps me on point. So before I jump into some things, Ms. Walker kind of said some things about me and about what the work we've done in the district, but I want to be really clear. I look around this room and I see a lot of Youngstown City School District staff, principals, teachers, custodians, coaches. So before I go any further, I want any staff member of the Youngstown City School District to stand up. I don't do this work alone, and for the most part, they do the work. We set the vision, we establish expectations, and we create an accountability system for all of us. So I salute you and I thank you on behalf of the scholars of the Youngstown City School District. Another special introduction. When I became superintendent, we started what's called advisory councils, because as Ms. Walker said, it's important that we hear from our constituents and those that we work with and serve every day. And so we started the Scholar Advisory Council, and my staff knows they're important, but the most important advisory council is the kids. They meet with me quarterly, sometimes every other month, and they give us feedback. But many of them are not here tonight, but I do want to recognize our staff advisory council. So if you're a member of the Superintendent Staff Advisory Council, please stand up. These are dedicated members of the Youngstown City School District staff, and I thank them for their time as they meet with us and give us critical, real-time feedback on what's going on, what's going well, and maybe what's not going so well that we need to address in the district. Thank you. And then, before I jump into some other things, I just want to thank the community, because we do have a community scholar advisory as well. And I don't think many of them are here, but I do see a few. So if you're part of the community advisory, if you would stand up. I do know Mr. Bernie's here and a couple others maybe. So why are we here tonight? We are here because together we'll be celebrating the progress, highlighting opportunities, and sharing one vision, one Youngstown. As of today, we have approximately 4,425 scholars. So in pre-K through 12th grade, over 4,000 students choose Youngstown City School District each and every day. And we have about 1,100 employees. Now, those employees make up teachers, custodians, instructional assistants, cafeteria workers, coaches, so full-time and part-time, but these are people who get some form of paycheck from the Youngstown City School District, but they work hard with your children each and every day. So now, we are a school district, and the biggest thing that people want to know is, how are we performing? We have a lot of jobs in urban education today. Urban education has changed, and we can sit around and whine about it, but that's not what we choose to do. We educate the scholars that choose us each and every day, that come into our doors, but we are measured by a state system that looks at particular components and indicators. And in Youngstown City School District, we don't shy away from anything of who we are. I came to this district 8 years ago as the principal of this very school. I sat in this auditorium with our students, and Ms. Deborah Campbell, who is here now, the principal here, can attest. Our report card has straight F's across the board. And we stood there and we declared and decreed that day that that is not who we are. And we became a school that still has some struggles and work to do, but as a district, we're no longer where we were. But on the most recent report card, I do want to highlight that we saw tremendous math and ELA gains. We're still not at the state standard of where we want to be, but we did see tremendous gains, and I'm gonna be honest, particularly at the very same school and schools, our high schools, have been struggling. East High School and Cheney High School, any staff member there, principals, teachers, whatever, I want you to stand up. Because in one school year, East High School went from 1.5 stars to 2.5 stars on the state report card. Cheney High School went from 2 stars to 3.5 stars in one school year. The work that is being done by these people, you guys can have a seat. The work that is being done by these people and the teachers in the classroom is nothing short of amazing. And I need our community to understand that. I need our community to get behind that. And as we come together, as we'll talk about more, please, please, please understand that the work has already started and that we have the blueprint as long as everyone would get behind the work and make sure that our scholars are getting to school, getting a proper amount of sleep, and coming to school ready to learn. Because as I say, students need to be prepared and free to learn, and teachers need to be free to teach. And that is our mantra. Also cannot leave out our early college high school. They continue to be a shining star in our district with a 4.5 star rating. And we are very, very proud of it. Now, I mentioned a few minutes ago that we don't hide from anything. Unless you've been hiding under a rock, you know that Youngstown, East Cleveland, and Lorain were part of something called the Academic Distress Commission. Despite what some people think, the Academic Distress Commission still exists. The law has changed a little bit, but it still exists. And we are in the 3rd year of what's called the Academic Improvement Plan. We're going into the 4th year now. And the benchmarks that were established by our Board of Education, administration, members of our teaching staff, and members of the community, there were 24 benchmarks. And over the last 3 years, we have seen tremendous, tremendous growth. Are we where we want to be? Absolutely not. But I need to point out some of the strengths so that this community understands where we are. So in early literacy, our youngest babies, which is the foundation. If you're an educator, and you want to make improvement, Ms. Campbell, Ms. Mulcahy, when they get to 9th grade, if they're not reading on grade level, how hard is it to educate them? Very, very difficult. So we have to start from the ground up. And so we did establish. And some of the growth that we've seen is 69% of our scholars in grades 2 to 3 met or exceeded growth expectations on the Acadians assessment, which is surpassing our 2025 goal of 63%. High school math. I tell this story all the time, and my wife gets mad at me when I say it. The year before I came to Youngstown, at East High School, we had 1 student pass the Algebra 1 test. That is absolutely criminal. So we started to work that next year, really, really focusing on improving our math. And again, I'll say, we're not where we want to be, but we sure aren't where we used to be. And so this past school year, at the high school, 71% of students in Algebra 1 and geometry met their growth benchmarks, exceeding that 70% goal. We still didn't have the greatest proficiency, but we had a double-digit gain in the state proficiency on both of those tests. That has not happened by accident. And then one of the biggest things, when the state report card comes out, the first thing that the newspaper runs is a story that talks about performance index, and they rate all 607 school districts in the state of Ohio. For a long time, Youngstown City Schools was at the bottom of that list. We're not at the bottom of that list anymore. Please, 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 fact check. Do not listen to what other people might want to tell you. We are not at the bottom of the list anymore. And that was one of the benchmarks that we established. And for that benchmark, our performance index rose to 57.49, which is far beyond the AIP target of 47%. So what that means is growth is happening with our students. Each year, more and more students are achieving higher than they did before. Maybe not at the state standard that we want, but we're getting points for more scores beyond basic and limited. So I need our community to understand that we are on par for improvement, and as long as we stay the course, we should continue to do those things. And then the last thing is diploma readiness. If anyone in here is a business owner, one of the main things that I'm sure you're concerned about is, who am I going to hire to run my business? When people are looking to move to Youngstown, the first thing they want to know is, do I have an educated workforce? And so that diploma readiness, getting our graduation rate up, and also making sure that our seniors are graduating with diploma seals, which the state of Ohio created. 97% of our graduating seniors earned at least 2 diploma seals, confirming our commitment to ensuring every scholar leaves prepared for the next step in life. Now, test scores are test scores. Me and Mr. Moranto talk about this all the time. We don't shy away from the test scores. We don't sit around and fuss and cry about them. They are what they are. But I know if you live with a young person, or if you have a child, or you have a special niece or a grandchild, they are more than a test score. My 3 children, who are now adults, are more than a test score. And so this past spring, we gathered our scholars, a group of community members, and a group of staff to put together what we call the portrait of a graduate. So what is the portrait, Mr. Batchelor? This is what our community says, and our scholar says, these are the soft, durable skills that I need to have, that we want our children to have when they leave the Youngstown City School District, so that they can be the next teachers, principals, superintendents, mayors, state legislatures, whatever they want to be in the state of Ohio, city of Youngstown, across the country, and across the world. And so our team decided on 5 durable skills: adaptability, responsibility, critical thinking, empathy, and communication. So everything we do, every lesson we teach, every document we create needs to be focused on these 5 durable skills. And up front, I have our chief academic officer, our chief of staff, who meet with me once a week. And they probably are tired of hearing me ask, how does this apply to our portrait? How do these things apply to our children getting the skills they need to be the next leaders in our community? So I ask you as a community to get to know this portrait. You'll see it a lot. It'll be front and center on everything we do. Every decision that we make. When someone brings and asks me, can we buy this new program? Can I help you with an after-school program? Can we do this to help your children? The first question I'm going to ask you is, do you know our portrait? Do you know what we're trying to build in the city of Youngstown for our children when they graduate from us? And I have to be transparent and tell you that if you don't know, I want to respectfully end our meeting. That's how serious we are. My staff can tell you that when we interview people, the interview questions are now based off of what do they know about these 5 skills? How can they help our children get to these 5 skills? And if they can't, they're not the candidate for Youngstown City School District. Now, what everybody, I believe, probably came to hear more about. One vision, one Youngstown. This is a rallying cry, but it means a lot more than I think people really understand. Ms. Walker talked to you and said, I grew up here in this city. I've left this city and come back twice. I'm not saying that I know everything and what's right for Youngstown, because I absolutely do not. But I know we have the team. As I look out at the faces of the staff who stood, I know we have the team to make sure that we do this one vision, one Youngstown the right way. I've heard all of the reasons why we shouldn't. I've heard all the reasons why we should. And the reality is, the elected Board of Education, along with our administrative team, made a wise decision back in May. And now it is my job to work with our team and the board and you as a community to make sure that we become one vision, one Youngstown. So we established back in May a timeline, and we made some promises of things that we would do. And I have to say, and kind of toot our team's own horn, I want to give Stacy Quinones, our communications director, a shout out that she's kept us on point. Our team, one of the things that we said we would do is we would name the principals of these new schools. Now, we don't start the new schools until August of 2026. But it is important, was important to us that we name those leaders so that they have the remainder of this year and all next summer to work with our communities and with our scholars that will be with us next year to be ready to hit the ground running, to work with some community partners for some conflict resolution, for some leadership development, so the culture is established. So I always get off script, and Stacy fusses at me about this, but I have to say, if you don't believe we can do this, just like Bruno Mars said, don't believe us, just watch. Our kids believe in this, and I need the adults to do the same. And that is where we are, and that is how we stand, and that is what we stand on. As the kids say, we're standing on business, we're standing on business on that. So tonight I want to introduce to the community the principals, the head principals of both new schools. Of Youngstown High School, a familiar face, Ms. Tricia Mulcahy. Please stand, Tricia. Tricia is the head principal at Cheney High School right now, and she has been selected through a very, very rigorous process of teachers, other staff that have been in a committee to help select her. And so to fill out that staff, you see sitting right next to her, Ms. Deborah Campbell. Please stand, Ms. Campbell. Ms. Campbell is currently the principal, the head principal here at East High School, and she will be the 12th grade principal and serving as the top assistant to Ms. Mulcahy. And then next to her, Youngstown's own, will be our 9th grade experienced principal, Ms. Kiana Facey. And then right behind Ms. Mulcahy, we have another golden bear that will be a defender, Mr. Artemis Sism. And I want the crowd and the team to notice they don't have assigned seats. I promise you. Since this summer, before we named the principal, they started planning together. They sent me pictures. They were over at Cheney in the room working together on things to bring the new school under one roof, to make sure they're doing like things this year so that transition next year will be that much easier. So without us having to tell them, they already knew, and they didn't know who was going to be the head principal, so they could have been like, hey, I'm not doing anything till I know what my situation is. But I'm so proud and thankful of the collaboration and the synergy and the belief they have in our young people. So thank you. Now, the high school is the flagship. They get all the credit, and they get all the attention, but they also get all the blame when things go bad. But to prepare our babies for high school, our middle school has to be right. And for those of you who have taught in middle school or been a middle school principal, you know it is not for the faint of heart. And so we have to make sure that when we bring this middle school together under one roof to prepare to be a feeder into our high school, we have a strong leadership team there. And so we do. And so we also named the head principal of that school, and he is here somewhere, Mr. Michael Sonner, who's the current principal at Cheney Middle School, will be the head principal at Youngstown Middle School. And let me go back to the high school, because I forgot somebody. I got to circle back, because he's sitting with them too, and I don't know how I forgot him. Mr. Brian Whitmore will also be at the high school as a 10th grade principal. Mr. Whitmore is currently at the middle school, but he will be coming up to the high school and working with that team. Mr. Whitmore has some high school experience over at Warren and down in North Carolina, so we are excited to have him come over and join that team. And at the middle school, you met Mr. Sonner, and he'll be joined at the middle school by Leslie Kitchen, who will be the 6th grade principal, Mr. John Budai, who is currently a dean here at Youngstown East High School, will be the 7th grade principal, and Mr. Mark Asen will be the 8th grade principal. So those are the teams that will round out the middle school and the high schools. And that does not take away from our elementaries, because I see Mrs. Weeks back there, I see my other middle school, Dr. Janafrio at our early college middle school. So please understand that this does not take away from anything they're doing, because now more than ever, we need them to make sure the foundation is solid. And they are on their way. I want to give another shout out to all of them, but I want to give a special shout out to Taft Elementary. Taft, let's be honest, has had some struggles himself, culturally and academically. They rose a whole star last year on the report card as well. And Mr. Bowie and Mr. Brown will correct me if I'm wrong, but I want to say they had the highest increase in overall attendance improvement from last year to this year. Again, improvement does not happen by accident. Now, here's the one thing that everybody got an opinion about. This is where I need your help, though, community. I've said this on the news a couple of times. We all know that we've struggled with transportation. Every urban school district in the state of Ohio struggles with transportation. And part of it is because the rules are set up for us to struggle. We have 14 schools in the city of Youngstown. Mr. Kearns, correct me, but we transport to about 34, almost 40 schools because of the requirement that we have to transport students that go to charter schools and parochial schools. Not anti-charter, not anti-parochial. But the expectation on urban school districts is ridiculous. The expectation that we get, as they say in my time in North Carolina, the expectation that we get blood from a turnip is very difficult. We're being asked to do something that is almost impossible. So this is where I ask the community. We know not transporting our high school students is not something that we want to do. We would like to shrink our walk zone, but we need the rules of the game to change in order for us to do that. And so I'm calling the communities to action that we continue to legislatively lobby that we could get some relief, some change in what is required of urban school districts. You see up here, this is not a Youngstown problem. Columbus is about to do the very same things that we've done and take away high school transportation completely. Dayton had already done it where they're using public transportation, and the legislature has now said they can't buy bus passes to help with that. The attack on public education is real, folks. And instead of attacking us, we need you to attack the legislature positively and engage in civic responsibility and help us get some laws changed that will make it fair for everyone. One of the things that we as the Ohio 8 Legislative Caucus asked to do was let's create a committee with the legislature that's made up of public schools, parochial schools, charter schools, and come up with a committee so we can come up with solutions that we could all live with. That got knocked out of the biennium budget. So I'm probably getting myself in trouble by talking so much politics, but I have to defend the why. I have to defend public education because the things that are being asked of us and the judgments that are being made on things that we don't control are just unfit and unfair. Again, no excuses, but facts. And so if you want to help us, let's please band together to work on some advocacy with the legislatures to make some adjustments. Public education has changed. We have vouchers in the state of Ohio now. So if we're going to have vouchers, maybe transportation should not be our responsibility anymore. All right, I'm going to stop my stance. I think I'm getting a little too deep for y'all tonight. So career and technical education expansion. Last spring, we also made the decision that all of our scholars in 11th and 12th grade will either choose a Choffin program, which is a 5-star career center that Dr. Seville and I just came back from Orlando, Florida, presenting on, and since we've been back, we've had 2 or 3 different school districts call us and say, can we come see you? And of course, the answer is yes. But we need to understand that we're going to continue to grow that programming. We're not there yet, but we are moving in the right direction. All of our 11th and 12th graders going to Choffin. But if there's a reason, or if there's a programming thing, we do have some scholars that want to be JROTC for 3 and 4 years. We'll make those exceptions. We have some scholars that are advanced art students. For now, we'll make those exceptions, but in a couple years, there won't need to be any exceptions because we're going to create career pathways that are college credit plus that'll be able to be done right at Choffin for those students as well. So already, 80 to 85% of our juniors and seniors were going to Choffin. So this is not really a new thing. It's just an expanded piece. And then Dr. Seville and his team have added more programming to make sure that we can do things. And I know I want to speak to maybe folks that were around in the 70s or 80s. Please come see us. Please ask Dr. Seville for a tour. The Choffin of 2025 is not the Choffin of 1985. And there was nothing wrong with it then. But we have programs, as Joe and I joke about, that we couldn't do. We have engineering programs. We have music production programs. We have things that are, I just signed this morning a new program where college credits will be given for our audio and video production crew. Shout out to them. They are here tonight, recording this, getting real world experience, and now they'll be able to take 12 to 15 hours of credit with them to college when they go. And that leads us to this. If you live in the city of Youngstown and you have a child, for the life of me, I don't understand why they don't go to Youngstown City Schools. As long as you graduate from Youngstown City School District and you can be admitted to the Youngstown State University, you will go to that university for free. The Youngstown Foundation, in its generosity, has made this so easy for our scholars now. Now, there's still some stumbling blocks at the university and other places that we'll have to work through. But you graduate from Youngstown City School District, you apply and are accepted to Youngstown State University, you go to school for free. I'm going to say it one more time. You go to school for free. So I just need our community to understand how important that is. How this can be generational game changers for our families, for our community. As I said earlier, we don't hide from who we are. We know that since 1977, our community has gone through some things. I was 3 years old when the steel mills crashed. But when I go to meetings and I listen to people talk, I still feel like they're waiting for them to come back. That ain't happening, folks. but we can recreate ourselves and become who we need to be. And that's what we're trying to do, is set the platform to be the catalyst for our youngsters to be able to do that. And the Youngstown Foundation and Youngstown State University together with us can make that happen. So, again, we're going to talk about the bad word, state takeover, academic distress, House Bill 70, blah, blah, blah. No matter how you feel about it, it is what it is. We can't change the past. We can only change the present and the future. And so the whole child was at the center of that discussion, to my understanding. I was in North Carolina when it first happened, or when it first came about and the conversation started happening. So I don't really know, but I have read some documents, and I do know that the same issues that existed then are some of the same issues that we're trying to battle right now. But the whole child experience is what's going to make things happen in Youngstown. Mr. Kearns, who is my right hand and my chief of staff, deputy superintendent. We met back in 2018 when I was the principal here, and he was the principal at Cheney High School. And I remember in a meeting, we both said to each other, our schools suck. The electives suck. Excuse my language. High school should be fun. High school should be the best 4 years of your life. But what we were offering was not the best 4 years of our life. And the experiences that we were offering were not the best 4 years of our life. Sometimes I'm too open. Those of you who know me know that I went to a different school. That school gave me a good opportunity. It gave me an experience. That's all. We need to make sure that we're creating an experience in Youngstown City School District. And that's what we're trying to build. And how we do that is we create opportunities for the whole child. I worked in another district, a county, one district over. Every elementary school student was going to Camp Fitch every year. Camp Fitch is one of the jewels of our community, our area. It teaches outdoor education, responsibility, camaraderie. I didn't like going when I was a principal, but I liked for our kids to go. When I came to Youngstown, we were hit and miss. We weren't necessarily sending all of our kids. We weren't giving our kids the same experience that kids all across this region get. And on my watch and on our watch, we are changing that. So with the help of some community partners, all of our fifth graders have the opportunity to go to Camp Fitch every year for outdoor education. Now, I'm glad you clapped, but I'm also going to ask you to do me a favor. Talk to your neighbors. Make sure the kids sign up. There are some permission slips they got to fill out and some forms they need to fill out. And I think a lot of our families might be a little afraid to send little Johnny and Susie up to Camp Fitch away for the night. It is an absolute thing that our kids need to take advantage of so they can experience something outside of Youngstown that will also help them grow. So help me out by reminding your families and your friends that this is something that the district is able to provide, and we're always going to put resources towards, but we need to make sure we take advantage of it. And then we have the wraparound support. Our school counselors will tell you, if you ask them, what is the ratio of school counselors to students? The National School Counselors Association has that ratio at 250 to 1. I've been in a lot of districts around in 3 different states. This is the only district I've been in where we actually at that ratio. Our ratio, the last time I checked, was 200 to 1. That is a commitment on the part of the district to make sure that our scholars have the guidance and support they need during the day and in their academic planning and in their social emotional planning. So I need the community to understand that, yes, when you see those reports and it says Youngstown City may be overstaffed, that's part of it. It's intentional to provide the support for our youngsters. And so we're proud of that. We don't feel like that is a problem, and as long as our budget maintains it, we'll maintain it. And then the last thing is just mentoring and extracurriculars. We continue to grow. We continue to grow different programs. Our athletic director has a charge to build a new sport every year. Since I've been in the district, we've created wrestling, soccer is on the rise. I'm hoping that we can put these good fields to use and get a lacrosse team together, some other things. The state of Ohio has now endorsed girls flag football as a sport. I need our community to get excited about opportunities for kids that we want to give them, but we need to make sure that they take advantage of it. And same thing with our music programs. Our music programs are suffering. But that does not mean that we don't have the music and we don't have the talent to make it happen. Our young people in this community have the talent, and we want to make sure that they have the resources, which they do. Every elementary school has a dedicated music teacher, no matter what their enrollment is. Every middle school, every high school. We have put the resources. Now it is time to make sure that we're all doing the same thing, rowing in the same direction, wanting the same results. And I believe that we will get there. Athletics. Athletics are important, not because people are going to go play in the NBA or NFL. That would be great. But I had a young man in my office last week who is a freshman and a very good football player. And I asked him, what do you want to do? What do you want to do when you grow up? He said, I want to go to NFL, Mr. Batchelor. I said, that's great. I don't care. I don't care. I want you to have a great high school career. I want you to use that high school career to get a free scholarship and college education, and then become a great father, businessman, teacher, husband, doctor, whatever you decide to do. Because even if you make it to the NFL, if you're a running back, which he is, the average career for running back is about 5 years. So by 27 years old, you're going to be coming to my office to ask me what do I do next, Mr. Batchelor. Well, let me help you right now and figure out what you're going to do next. And that's what we're trying to build with our young people. But I say that to say we still need to give them a world-class opportunity to put a world-class product on the field, court, whatever it is, because it builds character. It builds pride in our community. I will tell you, one of the proudest moments of my time here in Youngstown is back in 2018 when we made that playoff run here at East High School. We went from having about 12 people in the stands to having to move the game from Rand Stadium to YSU at the last playoff game because we were worried about the crowd. I'm going to get in trouble. I need y'all to be there when we're losing and when we're winning. And our babies need us to show up at all times. And I believe when we show that, then they will rise to the expectations and courage and do the things we need to do. And then I just will go ahead and be bold and say, we come together as one vision, one Youngstown, as the defenders next year. And some folks are already nervous. Our young people, this week a podcast will come out that has some of our young people talking about that already. They're talking about the last game this week and how they're ready for this last game, but they're excited. They're excited to come together, to be one program, to be one family, and to be one unit to represent the city of Youngstown and put a winning product on that field and on the court and everything else. And I won't spoil it because it'll come out this week. I'm looking forward to it, but they had some really words of wisdom, and they talked about how, Mr. Batchelor, why won't folks put some of that old stuff behind us? Why won't folks let us be great? Why won't folks stop worrying about what happened when you were in school? That's what they said. I said, because y'all have to show them. Show them what it's like. Show them what happens in the halls at Choffin every day when they're already together. Show them what it's going to be like this summer when you're on the field together, putting together something that represents Youngstown to its best. And then I want to talk about finances a little bit. And we want to be real clear. Youngstown has a healthy fund balance. I just believe in facts. We lost our treasurer, Mr. Brian Sherrod. He took another job. But before he left, we did a podcast with him where he explained what millage means, what deficit spending means, and those types of things. So last week, our new 5-year forecast came out, and it showed deficit spending. And so, of course, one of the things you're going to probably see is Youngstown's going to be broke in 5 years. Please stop believing that. I'm sorry, I have to keep it real. Please stop believing that, because before we would ever get to the point where we are fiscally problematic, the state would come in and put us in fiscal emergency and make us make changes. We are nowhere near that. We are making the changes that we need to make on our own right now. Over the last 2 to 3 years, we have reduced personnel costs by over $3 million by still keeping services in place for your children. That does not happen by accident. It is not easy, but it has been done and will continue to be done to make sure that we align things to the services of our children, but also are fiscally responsible. And so we do have to make some capital improvements. We have beautiful buildings, and we want to make sure we maintain them. And so that is one of the things that we'll be working with. And one of the things that we'll be working with, and who we'll be working with, is I want to also give a special shout out to the Board of Education. My bosses. They did a great job, y'all. So when Mr. Sherrod left, they had to post. So for those of you who don't know, the school board is responsible for 2 individuals in the school district, the superintendent and the treasurer. They hire and fire both candidates, both people. That is a big responsibility because they should work with that person or those people, but also make sure that there's transparency and accountability. And what they did was they did a search that yielded them very few applicants the first time. And then they had a couple of candidates that were good candidates, but did not meet the expectations of what they want for Youngstown City School District as we move forward. And so I will say this, and maybe I'll get in trouble. In the past, I believe they would have just hired somebody, and we would have dealt with the consequences later. They were disciplined, and they created the search again. And this time, 5 new candidates came out of them. And one of those candidates is here with us tonight. And the board was able to choose a seasoned, licensed treasurer with close to 20 years experience and in a district very similar to Youngstown, Dr. Michael Rock. Please stand up, sir. Thank you. Dr. Rock will be coming to us from, I can say it because I've talked to their superintendent, he knows what it is, Warrensville Heights City School District. Dr. Rock will be coming to us. I believe we'll be starting sometime probably in January, to be fair, to give them time for their search. And we will work with our team to make sure we continue operations. But we are excited of the leadership fiscally that he is going to bring to the district. And then to top that off, Dr. Rock is from the Yo. He's a hometown guy coming home, bringing new innovative ideas to help us continue to grow, continue to be the Youngstown that we need to be, continue to defend the why, and move forward for our scholars. So what does the road ahead leave for us? Well, listen, I told you before, we're not where we want to be, but we are where we used to be. But so that means we still have work to do. And so early on this school year, right now, we're working to increase our early literacy. Mr. Kibler gave a report at the last board meeting, or the board meeting before that, where he talked about our early literacy scores and our achievement scores and how close we are to going to the next level and the work that is already being done. And so we want to make sure we continue laser focus on our early literacy. And then that benchmark 24 in the academic improvement plan. And you may say, why just that benchmark, Mr. Batchelor? Well, it's not just that one. But for this year, I want to make sure that we continue with those career and college plans. We made a big jump year before last. We weren't paying attention to it like we needed to. And this last year, we paid attention, and 95% of our 8th graders going into 9th grade completed that plan. And you will say, well, what does that really mean? It gives us and them a roadmap to what they plan to do and what they need to focus on when they get into high school. And now more than ever do we need that, as we are going to have our scholars be choosing a pathway. And so we'll be able to use those plans, not only in their 9th and 10th grade years, but as it's adapted and edited, as they go into their 11th grade year and they choose that plan, our Choffin team should be looking at those plans to make sure we're putting our scholars in the right place for them to be successful. And then graduation rate. As I said to you earlier, that is something that is near and dear to my heart as a former high school principal, but not just because we're trying to make improvements, but because it means something to our community. It means something to the businesses in our community, and it means something to our young people, because without it, they are disabled. Without a high school diploma, the research is clear that their earning potential is decimated. I don't even know what the research even says anymore. 20 years ago, it was like $750,000 less than a high school diploma without having one, and $1.5 million more having a college degree. So we need to make sure that we're preparing our young people to at least get that high school diploma, have those portrait of a graduate durable skills, and be ready to fly. And so I need our community to understand how far we've come. In 2018, our district graduation rate was 76%. Not the worst I've seen. I took over a school in North Carolina, it was 55%. So it's not the worst I've seen, but it's not good enough. So as I told you, I stood here and we talked to the class of 2019 about that's not who we are, and we were going to fix that. But that was a district situation. Cheney involved, our early college involved, our alternative school. Our graduation rate now for the Youngstown City School District for this last year is 85%. That is almost a 10% gain. I'm glad you're clapping, but I need to go ahead and tell you something to clap early, and you're going to clap again. The report card lags a year behind, 2 years behind actually, on the federal definition. So the class of 2025's graduation rate that just graduated back in May has already been calculated. And that's a bit what we reported next year. We just submitted and verified that data about a month ago. Next year's graduation rate for the class of 2025 is 90%. So I say to the critics of my babies and to the critics of my staff, I don't know what y'all watching. The work is happening. The work is happening. I thank my board for their faith, for the staff, for the commitment, and for our kids for buying in. I want to say this, and again, I'm going off script. We started talking about Defend the Y last year, and then we made the decision to become one school. And then we let the kids decide what would be maybe the mascot. We had some different ideas. Some will believe this and some will not. They chose the Defenders. And I asked them, why? Mr. Batchelor, we believe in what you're saying. We know that people have been hating on us. We know that people don't believe in us. And it's time for us to show them differently. So I say to my children, my kids, the 4,600 of you, 4,400 of you, thank you. Keep working, keep believing, keep understanding who we are, keep defending the why. Because if other people won't stand up for it, stand up for yourselves. And then the last look on the road ahead is just the preparation for our unified schools. I've already shared with you the teams that we brought together, the work they're doing. We're doing some work behind the scenes. Some community partners are working with us on some protocols and things that we want to do. But that will be a strong focus for the rest of this year and all of next summer. That we got one foot in this year, but another foot in the next, so that we can start the year off on the right foot and ready to do what's best necessary for our children. So I want to thank you for coming out tonight. But I also want to continue to challenge you to get behind us. Not behind me, not behind our board, but behind our children. They are our future. They are the future of this community. They're the future of this state, and they're the future of this country. And unless you've been hiding under a rock, we need a little help. We need a little help. And I believe that they can be that future to get us back on path. When you talk to them, when you spend time with them, and you give them voice, they will never let you down. When you exclude them and you tell them what to do all the time, they are going to buck. Because we buck. We've taught them that. But when you give them true, genuine voice and allow them to have a seat at the table like they did for the portrait of the graduate, and that they are the Scholar Advisory Committee, that we hadn't met until last week. Ms. Cody Robinson can attest to this. We had 2 or 3 of them call to office. Mr. Batchelor, when we meeting? We've been in school for almost 9 weeks. We haven't met yet. I love that. I love that they called me on the carpet and said it's time for us to come together so we can have the next meeting to talk about our future and what the future of this district is. This summer, Ms. Walker and I got emails from students who said, we come together in one school, we need more clubs. We need more activities. Absolutely we do. I see one over here. I see Kimani over here. He's emailed me. He's on a state board now for the governor. Our kids are doing great things. So I'm going to go and prepare and take my seat and say, please, 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 get behind us. One vision, one Youngstown. Thank you. Y'all know Miss Kimball called me a big crybaby, so I'm gonna get out of here without crying today, though. Thank you all for coming out.